I want to welcome everybody to the Black Christmas 40th anniversary reunion panel. I can't believe this. My name is Paul Korup. I run a website called Conexploitation.com about Canadian genre films and tax shelter cinema. This Black Christmas is really one of the key films of the 1970s in the horror genre anyways, directed by the late Bob Clark, of course, an American who emigrated up to Canada. He shot this Black Christmas around Toronto, as you all know. All those familiar sites is certainly one of the attractions, I think, for a Toronto audience like us to get to see that 40 years ago. The great thing about Black Christmas is how it really set the template for the slasher films that followed, and of course there's the story of how it did inspire John Carpenter's Halloween, but in and of itself, it's just a very, very well-made film with great POV shots, a great tonal piano score, and the other thing is obviously great performances. Some really great actors in this piece. Lynn, do you have any specific memories about Bob, or any anecdotes?
Well, my favorite memory of Bob is when we were up, obviously, filming the infamous attic scene, and we were trying to figure out how to get the plastic bag. There was a lot of stuff going on trying to make that work, trying to get the plastic bag. Like, Lynn, don't breathe. Well, Bob. So they were trying, I think they poked holes with a pencil and put a little hole, but I couldn't. I actually am a pretty good swimmer, so I can hold my breath for a pretty long time. So I'd have to kind of suck it in and hold it, and he'd go, okay, hold it. And now, of course, he did do the classic thing when we got to 2 o'clock and said, okay, that's lunch, everybody. Lynn, you just stay there for now. Also, what was really funny, the cat, Claude, didn't want to behave and play his part very much. So Bob was in a chair opposite the rocking chair, and he would hurl Claude at me, and Claude would go like this down my legs, and we went, okay, that's not working. Then we finally decided to spray the plastic bag with my face underneath it with catnip. So comfortable, so glamorous. So I'm sitting there, I'm crying, like, don't move when the cat, with full claws out, lands on you. Still pretend you're dead. Don't breathe, and let Claude come up and lick the catnip off your face, all this time not moving. Dear Bob.
Yeah. Movies are fun to make. Good crowd, huh?
Yeah, very nice.
One of the other scenes I actually was going to ask Art about was one of the other probably cold scenes that you did was the hockey game.
Now that was Bob had an idea to
What?
Bob Clark.
Bob Clark,
Yeah.
yeah.
He had an idea that Olivia, when she finds out that she hasn't gone home or where she's missing, she wants to come and tell her boyfriend, me, that she's missing, and so it has to be, one of those moments like we're really frightened about all this. So he had me being on the university hockey team, and she would come and try and get my attention. And I told him that I had an idea for him. I said, what if I was the goaltender, and they were having a goaltender drill, which you could use sound effects of the pucks hitting me and the boards and the glass and the mask and everything like that, and you'd create this sound effect that would add to the tension of the moment. And he thought that was a great idea, so they threw me in a goalie uniform, and then he told the team players who were actually University of Toronto hockey players that this is an actor in the goalie stuff, so just shoot at his pads and and his stick and his arm pads and things like that. Okay, try not to hit his face, right? And I had a mask on. Of course, they all thought this was their chance to be discovered and be great actors, so they bounced quite a few off my head, So next, I wisely after that in my career slow down on giving directors ideas. Nick Mancuso, everybody. Hey, buddy. How's it going? This chap just now, Nick, this chap just now asked about the voices of Billy. This chap over here in the lumberjack.
So the voices of Billy, there were 3 voices. I was Billy, it's me, Billy. And that was my voice. Bob Clark, the director, who also did Porky's, and it was a great filmmaker who hired me for this role, did one of the voices. He combined the 2, and then there was an actress, I think her name was Muggsy Sweeney, I can't remember. This is 40 years ago, guys. This is 42 years ago. You realize that? No, it's 40. 40 years. 40. I have Alzheimer's, so I can't remember. He did also the voice. So what Bob did is he combined, you know, back then, it was, what year was it? 1970, 73. You know, there wasn't any of this computer stuff. So the voices were blended, you know, in post in some, I thought, really extraordinary way, because he, you know, he did a terrific job with that. But really, it was really, in a sense, an electronic voice that you were hearing. It had been altered. I did the voice, I auditioned, it was my first film. I'd been doing theater at that point. I did a few television shows and stuff like that. I was 21, I can't remember, 20. And I did it, Bob had me sit in an armchair with his back to him, and he said, okay, I want you to improvise. So I started improvising all these sounds, you know, all that stuff that you ended up in the show. And then he hired me for it, and I stood on my head to compress the thorax, to give it this, I was trying to give it as spooky as, you know, a sound as possible. So that's how he recorded me, standing on my head.
We didn't hear any of that, right? It was silent. And so we were going, well, Bob, what are we reacting to? And he went, well, you know, it's a bit, yeah, it's a bit blue, it's a bit dirty. And so we're like, oh, dirty, oh, like, you know. What? And then when I saw the film and I saw what the words were, I was like, oh my God. I had no idea. I was thinking, you know, I'm going to come over and unbutton the back of your dress.
Do we have
Actually, can I ask you guys a question? Because I'm very curious. What is it about this movie that somehow or another, of the 300 movies that I've done, why did this film enter your unconscious mind and mesmerize you enough to spend time here? What was it? I'm very confused, John. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like,
I can answer that question, Nick. Plain and simply, it's one of the most important horror films made of the second half of the 20th century. Period.
John, it's a classic, Nick. It's a classic. It's just simply a classic movie, and it created so many new moments in horror movies. You know, Bob was an innovator.
Yeah, he was.
Besides being a fabulous director, he was an innovator, and
I wish he could be here.
yeah, he innovated before there was a Steadicam, which is a camera that you can carry around and walk around with. They invented a Steadicam to climb the trellis and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, him and Bert.
He was a great guy.
John, did you have any memories of Bob that you might like to share, or anecdotes? I know you weren't on the film as long as some of the other people, but
I worked on it for, well, I worked on it in the middle of the night the first time I came in to the scene. I don't know, I think it was probably at 3 in the morning. What else I mean that I meant and saw from him later, when just working at one place or another, you know, it was, well, I'm just really sorry of what happened to him. And I think what his son involved in that crash?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bob,
well,
I think 2007 or 2008 he passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost Ariel, one of his sons.
Ah.
Went with him, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was actually a guy came across, I'm sure you all know this, but somebody crossed the line and crashed head on into Bob and his son. He was driving his son home. And we miss him because he had a lot of plans, you know, and he was a fabulous filmmaker. I worked with him on quite a few films, and he was just always just wonderful to work with, sweet man, funny,
Yeah, great sense of humor.
great sense of humor, big belly, would laugh and it would jiggle. And you can see him on screen in A Christmas Story.
Christmas.
I don't know, I'm sure you all know that movie. And he's one of the neighbors across the street when the father's putting the lamp in the window. And he's got, Bob affected a kind of, sounds like a southern accent, but it's supposed to be in Cleveland, so I don't know what this guy is doing with an accent in Cleveland, but that was Bob, a heavy, jolly guy. When I was rehearsing with Olivia, we were rehearsing in the house. And I got a chance to see, because he was interviewing the sound guy, the camera guy, all the trades, all the different disciplines of making film. He was interviewing them to hire them. And so we'd be rehearsing, and then suddenly somebody would come in. And so Olivia and I would sit there while he interviewed the guy, and I got to see his other side of his genius, which was he knew as much or more about their discipline than they did. I remember he was talking to the sound guy. I've told this story before, but he was talking to the sound guy, and he was talking about the effect he wanted to do when they were caroling outside. There was carolers outside, and he wanted some kind of something happening there, and the sound guy said, I don't think I can do that. And Bob said, well, if you rewire the rheostat and bring in the SAT and then feed back the thing and have a speaker here and fab it's that. The guy said, yeah, that's how you do it, you know. So Bob knew everything. He knew lighting, the whole 9 yards. He was the real thing.
And Al, what you just told me, something that came back to my mind how long ago, because I saw it too, you know. And, but it was a surprise to even talk about it.
Yeah. I was wondering, was it a fun movie to shoot, or were you too busy trying to stay warm?
We hung around inside most of the time, and it was fun. It was unique because there wasn't a lot of jobs in those days, so we all just felt lucky to be on a set and be working. And so we were working with Margot Kidder, who was hilarious, you know, and Olivia Hussey. She was sweet, you know, sweet lady, and brought none of the airs of somebody who did a fabulous movie like Romeo and Juliet. You know, Andrea Martin was just in the beginnings of her career, and it's always sad when it ends. You know, you never want it to end. You know, can we do another week? You know?
How long did it take to shoot?
I don't know. It flew by. Probably 6, 8 weeks, something like that.
I think I've already mentioned that I, you know, was supposed to do the film, and then not do the film, and then find out again because
Last minute?
Yeah,
Edmund O'Brien.
Edmund O'Brien, right?
Was sick.
And I said, but I had a wonderful time doing that picture from the beginning of late night, early morning.
Yeah, you flew in pretty much.
That's right.
And practically next time you're on the set.
It was a terrific time.
Yeah. I think they were probably still dealing with his deal while he was in the air. You know?
I thought you meant now.
Yeah. First thing he did when he got off the plane was phone his agent about billing. You know? You know, first night, first day working, and suddenly there's John Saxon, who I admired, and you know, I thought he's a fabulous actor. He is a fabulous actor, and there he was in our film. Gave us some cachet, you know. So we were excited. We say, hey, you know, this is
And I just want to mention that we gave John
Yeah.
a star on the Italian Walk of Fame here in Toronto last year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
I didn't know Saxon was an Italian name.
It really isn't.
So there's hope. There's hope for me then, right?
Was Margot Kidder as Belle Melt in real life as she was in film?
Yes.
What was the question?
I answered that question succinctly, I think.
And she's still foul-mouthed. I just did a film with her, when was it, this year, last year? I just did a film with her. She ended up playing my girlfriend. A couple of seniors, you know, but yeah, she's still, and she doesn't give up.
Yeah, I thought it was very good when I read it. I mean, I don't know that I was particularly a fan of horror movies, but I really do like psychological horror as opposed to slasher blood stuff. So I like that it had that kind of the mystery to it, that you didn't really see who it was, and that things were coming from a different point of view. And I just, yeah, I mean, I admittedly got, you know, to page whatever and went, oh. I get killed first. Okay, I don't want to read anymore. No, I did. I like it. Yeah, yeah.
Here's a little bit of information you may not know. I dubbed the voice of Keir Delay in about six lines of his, are actually me, because they couldn't bring him in on it. So that's a little bit.
So do you Keir Delay in person?
Across my poems. So.
Oh, right.
So Nick can do Jimmy Stewart, Cagney, and seemingly Keir Delay.
Keir Delay gone tomorrow. What
Yeah,
happened?
that's it.
Noel Coward said that. Why didn't he come in the way of Hussey? Did they ever come to these things?
Olivia, she doesn't come to any of these things, I don't think.
Margot
And Keir lives in New England, and I don't think he goes to any of these things either.
I think we're just about out of time, so I want to one more time thank the fantastic cast of this iconic Canadian film: Art Hindle, Lynn Griffin, Nick Mancuso, and John Saxon. Just some of the amazing actors that are in this film. So join me again in thanking